Welcome back, everyone. This morning, History Meets Beer. Nashville is a podcast all about the history of craft beer right here in the Nashville area.
Yes, and as you can see, we have some brews to try with the host of the show, Braden and Chris. Welcome in, guys.
How you doing?
Glad to be here.
We are excited. Okay, so Mashville, you're telling the improbable history of Nashville craft beer, which dates back, what, to the 1800s? Why'd y'all think this was an important story to tell?
Well, I think it's a story about the history of Nashville and the growth of Nashville, and I always wanted to tell that story. And then I know Chris from a long time through sports broadcasting, and he's literally written the book about beer, and so I thought who better to work with than to tell this story. But yeah, it goes all the way back over 100 years. It's about tax law. It's about really creative people coming from all over the country. It's about incredible flavors. It's about neighborhoods changing. It's kind of about everything at Old Nashville and New Nashville, and it was a lot of work, but I had a great partner here. So,
and when I wrote that book 10 years ago, I knew the history of brewing. I studied it and told the stories, but I also discovered all the fascinating characters that are behind the breweries that have come up in the last 30 years. And it was really fun to hear Braden kind of put that into the context of someone that was coming of age as craft beer was coming of age, because I was already an old drinker when I started this. So.
All I heard is I was the younger one. That's all I heard.
Well, hey, I want to talk about those conversations that you've had on the podcast with some of these, industry key players. What were some interesting findings that you've found, I should say?
Who was your favorite?
I mean, Bailey Spalding is an extraordinary. Each one is a great story, but Bailey is a great story. She's literally a monkey scientist from Vermont who came down here, knew nothing about the city, went to Vanderbilt, kind of sight unseen, ends up starting Jackalope Brewing Company, which is the first ever female-founded brewery company in the state of Tennessee. Really committed to the community and to philanthropy, and just a really great story. They're all amazing. Linus Hall at Yazoo is sort of the godfather of all of this. It worked so hard to change tax laws and fought with the legislative body to kind of create opportunity for small breweries. So Christian Spears and Bearded, I mean, the list of people was really, their arms were open, they told great stories, they're great personalities, and like none of them knew each other. And they all came together and could have worked against each other.
Yes.
In terms of competition, but they didn't see it that way. They saw it as sort of an opportunity to help everybody out. And it's a really great community, really cool people.
And they all came to Nashville from other places and didn't discover the kind of beer that they wanted to drink when they got here. Yeah. And most of these people were all in the same homebrewing club. So they brewed together before they were professionals, and then they helped each other as they started their breweries. So it's just a great community.
Yeah, just pure community. It just screams Nashville all over it, right? So let's get a taste of what you guys brought in today.
All right, we'll start. I'll let him do all the tasting notes, the food beer expert over here. Yazoo Gerst is right here, of course, on the right. Yazoo, that's what's in your cup, so if you want to try that, you can go ahead and take a list. I'll give you a little history there. Yazoo, again, Blackstone in 1995. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers. Yeah, get on over here.
And Yazoo in 2003, when they opened in Marathon, Gerst is not an original beer from them. It's from the Gerst Brewing Company, which is one of the biggest breweries in the Southeast in the 1800s all the way up till 1954, made it through Prohibition. It just kind of had to close in the middle of the 1950s, and then Linus Hall and Yazoo brought it back, and that's one that, my late 20s, that was a beer that I drank frequently. So.
And they literally had to craft that by memory. They had a bit of a recipe for it, but no one had drunk it since 1954. Right. Wow. So when they decided to bring it back, it was like building a recipe from scratch.
Yes, from memory and from the heart. So question, how is ML Rose so involved? Because they are woven within this entire podcast.
Well, ML Rose has recently changed their name to ML Rose Neighborhood Pub because they are all about neighborhoods. And one thing that we discovered was a lot of these breweries built the neighborhoods they were in. I mean, that was your experience. You would find a new brewery near where you lived, and
every chapter of my life, whether I was sort of a young adult working in the city or, dating my now wife or becoming parents and walking our kids to a brewery in our neighborhood, each neighborhood kind of changed with the breweries. And so ML Rose Neighborhood Pub is very much a part of that, whether it's on 8th South, whether it's in East, whether it's out on Charlotte. They're a big part of that same kind of growth and development. And they came to us. We've been working with them at my company for a while. And they said, hey, we want to explore and highlight some of the best beers. And I said, well, can we please just tell the whole story of the city on the whole thing? And they said, go for it. And they didn't, they just said, do whatever you guys want to do. We trust you guys. I said, Chris has to be the guy to do it. And because there's such a big part, like Bear Walker here with Jackalope, there's such a big part of the story. I mean, a big part of why Jackalope is successful is that she went to Austin and M.O. Rose and said, can we be on your taps? And M.O. Rose was a clearinghouse for like what was good beer at the time in the late 2000s, early 2010s. And so they're an integral part of the story. You can't tell the story without M.O. Rose, and we thank them for giving us a chance to do it.
Yes. Well, thank you guys so much for coming and sharing with us. I love Austin Ray, the owner over there at M.O. Rose. He's doing great things, y'all. Listen to the podcast and hear an improbable history of Nashville craft beer. Visit mlrose.com/Mashville.